Have you seen this challenge online? It's called the Breaking My Heart Challenge. And people are posting pictures of their parents from back in the day. And they're like, oh, my mom used to break hearts back in the day. So I wanted to make one of those. So I'm digging through this box of pictures and I'm like, is this really like the best way to organize the family photos in giant boxes in the basement? I found a solution from our friends at Legacy Box. You're going to love Legacy Box. For a limited time only, you can visit legacybox.com/ratchet and save 50%. That's legacybox.com/ratchet to shop 50% off. This sale won't last long. Legacybox.com/ratchet.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. We're skipping over updates in my life this week because nothing I got going on is crazier than what the U.S. has going on right now. People are behaving. We can't even divide up the episode into like good and bad. It's normal and then abnormal. Just what the fuck? We're going to start off with Keke Palmer on press tour. I enjoy Kiki very much. She's been making the rounds. She's got a new book that just came out. And not her first one, Master of Me, The Secret to Controlling Your Narrative by Keke Palmer. Kiki shows how to reframe mindset, create boundaries, and own your narrative in order to uncover purpose and achieve maximum success. And this press tour is everything. She was on the cover of People either last week or the week before. Shout out to Janine Rubenstein. She wrote that piece. She write like all the Black cover stories for People. 9 times out of 10, they're written by Janine. And that's a homie. But the cover of People, The View, Shannon Sharp, Jimmy Fallon. I just wrote down those 4. But if ma'am did nothing else, that's enough. I think she's so adorable. Her current look it's giving me sort of like Dressed Like 30 in the 80s. It's giving me a little bit of Dynasty, a little bit of 90s. When she was on The View, she had on this wig. Kiki's wig had like 3 extra tracks. It was just a lot of hair, but it was giving like Janet Jackson Pleasure Principle type hair, or like Nia Long End of Love Jones, but longer. It was a cute look. I mean, Kiki's a very beautiful girl. It's hard to fuck her up. I guess 90s style is back in. It's a very mature look. Good look. Keke Palmer. I saw a clip from Shannon Sharp. I haven't watched the full interview yet. I do want to watch it. On the Shannon Sharp interview, she said that she was a millionaire by the time she was 12. So she's a child actor. She's made a bunch of money. And she's talked about the experience of being a working actor as a child, that they expect you to be more mature and to act older than what you are. Okay. So Kiki, in so many senses, is a very old soul. And she presents as such with these mature looks. Baby Angela Bassett, that's one of the descriptions I was looking for. She is a little more mature than I think most people her age. But then she says some things, and I'm like, oh, you're very much early 30s, still trying to figure it all out. It's not a bad thing. She was sharing with Shannon Sharp some of her perspectives on relationships, and she made some quip about like she's not looking for somebody who has the same amount of money as her. And she was like, if that was the case, this would be a date instead of an interview. It was a real cute line. I just remember her being on Steve Harvey forever ago, and this is before she had the baby with old boy, who, turned out how he turned out. She says they have a good co-parenting situation. I believe I read he enrolled in the military or something. But even before she was with him, she was on the Steve Harvey show, and he was trying to give her some advice about men. And he was telling her that she needs to date people who are like, in her field, on her level. Like, and she was just like, no, 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 I just want a good person and blah, 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 which is, it's a very egalitarian way to think. But I'm like, you tried that already, babe, and it was kind of a disaster. You need somebody who, at the very least, understands your world. And I'm thinking about relationships, say like with Wendy Williams or Sherry Shepherd or Kiki's own situation where they went and got these really, to them, randoms. They were by far the breadwinner in the relationship. The guys didn't really have much going on outside of them. It turned into a shit show. You've seen these other situations with women who tried it and it didn't work out. Or in your case, like you tried it and it didn't work out. And her perspective is still the same. But I guess in fairness, you also do see like, Hollywood people marry other Hollywood people and they know what each other's worlds are going in and it still doesn't work. I'm just of the opinion that, I don't know, shoot for the stars, shit. Look for the ideal. And if you gotta, work out some kinks with somebody, I mean, nobody's perfect, but could you not be perfect with good money? Carrying a nigga ain't a fun thing to do. I'm gonna move along. I wish her the best. I really like her. It's very fun to watch her go, watch her develop, watch her figure out life. I just want to be clear when I say things like this, I don't have the answer. Somewhere around 42, I realized that like no one does. And really smart people stop searching for them. You live, you try to do the best that you can. You set some goals, you try to meet them. But in terms of like, figuring it all out, like what's the definitive way to do X, Y, Z and get it done right? Like for very practical things, like, addition and subtraction, that's really good. But like the living of life, yeah. What Denzel say? Learn, earn, return. That's very vague, but that seems to work. Learn some shit. Earn decent money. Give back. Okay. I can do that. There's something about what Kiki's saying that I can't put my finger on just yet. I may come back to this topic, if not today, another time. But there's something there that I'm not fully thinking through that I want to. What else do we still have in insane conversation? Oh, Denzel. Denzel's press tour for both the piano lesson and then obviously Gladiator 2. I saw a woman on my Facebook page who went to see it last night. She did a video reaction when she got back in her car and she had the exact same reaction that I had. Like she left the theater and had this like massive adrenaline rush. She was gushing about how amazing Denzel was. But you could just hear in her voice all the excitement and all the giddiness. Like you just want to like just fight. Like it's such a good movie. But this press tour that Denzel is on and all the clips that are circulating all over the place, it reminds me of, remember when Usher was in Vegas and every concert there would be some celebrities there and Usher was releasing these video clips of his encounters, like serenading various people. It was its own show within itself for the people who didn't get to go to the concert. Denzel's press tour gives me like those same vibes. Like I get excited when I'm like, oh, somebody interviewed Denzel. What he about to say now? So Denzel did this interview where he discussed his alcohol and drug use. He said that he's been sober for 10 years. He's 70. And he said for about 15 years, drinking really had a chokehold on him. It happens. People get stressed out. Life happens to everyone, even A-list celebrities, even the Denzel. Denzel said that he was not only drinking, but he also had a drug problem. And I just immediately assumed, like, oh, cocaine. They do cocaine with the same regularity they do weed in California. Like, it's just very casual. Drugs just really aren't like a huge thing. You just go hiking with your girlfriends or be sitting at brunch and people are randomly talking about like what new drugs they've tried to reach whatever transcendent state that they want to get to. It's just incredibly normalized. I just assumed if you were going to do drugs, you would do like, high class shit, like, cocaine. He keeps saying I was shooting dope. And my mind can't process that the Denzel, the Washington, was shooting heroin with a needle into his arm. I was like, by dope, does he mean cocaine? But that's not what shooting dope means. Obviously, drugs bad, don't do drugs. And not but, clear distinction, because but negates what I just said. And in addition to, also, I appreciate that whatever was going on with him, we as the public didn't know anything about it when it was going on. The only thing I'd ever heard about Denzel was the women, which is a lot of men's vice. We're going to leave that and move on to the next thing. I never heard anything about drugs. Drinking, if I heard something about it, I don't remember it. But saying somebody drinks heavy without giving me a story about the crazy shit that they did while they were drinking isn't going to register to me because I come from a family of people who drink heavy. Denzel said that when he was in his peak drinking phase, he was doing about 2 bottles of wine per day. To some people, you'll hear wine and be like, really, we're calling that like a drinking issue? Wine will get you fucked up. South Africans going to hear he drank 2 bottles of wine and be like, is that a problem? Is that a reason for concern? Baby, they drink here. Drink. I can't do it. I be fucked up the next day and the day after if I drink too much. And Denzel said he would drink that over the course of a day. He would do that on a regular basis, but he said he would stop when he had to go on set to work and then come back home and pick up drinking again. Denzel goes on to say, I've done a lot of damage to the body. He said he was hanging out with his friend, his little brother, Lenny Kravitz. He says Lenny told him, D, I want to hook you up with a trainer. And he did. He said the trainer is another man of God. He said he started with the trainer in February of last year, and he makes the meals for him in their training. Denzel says he's currently 190 pounds, and he's trying to make his way down to 185. He said he saw pictures of himself. I'm laughing because of the way he said it. He said he saw pictures of himself standing next to his wife at the 2022 Academy Awards. I'm still reading this on E! News, by the way. He was there for Macbeth. He says, quote, I'm just looking fat with this dyed hair. He said to himself, quote, those days are over, man. I feel like I'm getting strong. Strong as important. He's been walking around the red carpet because, he got on a t-shirt, flexing his muscles, like he pulled up his shirt and showed off his bicep. I mean, he feels good. Some people have expressed concern about his weight. They were like, Denzel is looking small. This is how Denzel wants to look. After Chadwick, we should know better than to speculate on folks' health. His energy is good. And Denzel, at all sizes and all ages, is fine to me. Let me see. Is there anything else in this article we need to talk about? Denzel says of his drinking phase, he said, I drank the best. And I was popping $4,000 bottles just because that's what's left. He said he and Pauletta bought a big-ass house back in 1999, and it had a 10,000 bottle wine cellar. Why the hell do you need 10,000 bottles of wine unless you selling it? Whatever. Denzel repeated that he was, quote, drinking the best. I think this man might want to drink. Don't do it. Stay on the wagon. He says because he was drinking fine wine, it made it more difficult to realize he was developing unhealthy patterns. Wait, this E! Online thing, it doesn't say anything about the shooting dope. Let me see if I can find that original article. I feel like when you say something like Denzel was shooting dope, you need to back that up with a credible source. Let me just go to the GQ article. Maybe it wasn't GQ. I'm sorry, I've been saying GQ. It's Esquire. Let's see what else they have to say in this Esquire article. We've all hit a point where we've realized it was time to make serious money moves. Take control of your finances by using a Chime checking account with features like no maintenance fees, fee-free overdraft up to $200, or getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Learn more at chime.com/ratchet. I love Chime because it's a financial institution with a sense of community. Get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. And like I said, no monthly fees or maintenance fees. What I love so much about Chime is it makes it easy to keep your money and access it, especially with over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. Make your fall finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Chime feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank North America or Stride Bank North America. Members FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in SpotMe and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. As chilly evenings set in and holiday decor lights up our homes, Home Chef is delivering new hearty recipes and your favorite comfort foods that pair perfectly with a cozy evening. Home Chef delivers fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes conveniently to your doorstep to simplify your cooking experience. Users of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef #1 in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. Whether you prefer classic meal kits with pre-proportioned ingredients, quick 30-minute recipes, oven-ready options, microwave meals, or a dedicated family menu, Home Chef has everything you and your family need for hassle-free, delicious dinners. My favorite thing about Home Chef, in addition to the very good meals, is that it's economical. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life. And of course, free shipping on your first box. Go to homechef.com/ratchet. That's homechef.com/ratchet for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/ratchet. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. Denzel has lived a big life. Tough streets, close calls, a wife of 41 years, 4 kids, 50 movies, 2 Oscars, 3 Equalizers. For the first time on the occasion of Gladiator 2 and his approaching 70th birthday, the man himself breaks it all down in his own words to the moments that mattered and the experiences that made him. And this is an as told to. This is a good read. I wonder if Denzel's about to release a memoir. He feels like he wants to share. He talked about he wanted to return. A Denzel memoir? Cher got part 1 and 2. I feel like Denzel could give us a part 1 and 2 as well. I just paused to read the whole part of Act 1. Like, this is amazing. This is amazing writing. I pray that there's a memoir on the way. The beginning of Act 2, he starts talking about prep school in the 70s. He says acid, lot of acid. Woo, my God. He went to military school upstate. He said he tested well in school, had 1 foot in the streets. He says, I can't remember if I was already selling drugs at that point. He says, sometimes you do what you're around. He said he was 13 and he stopped going to school. So someone told his mom, you need to get him out of here because he showed, quote and unquote, potential. It's Act 3. He says the biggest moment of his life is when he was filled with the Holy Spirit. He says, when you see me, you see the best I could do with what I've been given by my Lord and Savior. Denzel says his family is descendants of George Washington. We're ex-slaves. My sister did the whole genealogical history of our family. She spent forever figuring it out. We still own land down there, not far from D.C. He says, come on, our last name's Washington. Do the math. I'm fast forwarding over a lot. This is such a good read. He says, I don't have a lot of actor friends. Family friends, sure, like Sam Jackson. His wife and Pauletta go way back. And he and I go all the way back to a soldier's play in 1981. But now when I make a movie, I'm not trying to make friends. We rap, I'm trying to go home. That's not to say that I don't know Tom Hanks. It's not great. It is. I love Tom Hanks. I just don't see him. I didn't see him much before Philadelphia either. We're in the same business, but not necessarily the same town at any moment. Just the way it goes. He says, my faith has always informed the roles I choose, always. I've always been led by God, and most of my performances are faith-filled, even if I was playing the devil. I still have my shooting script from training day, and I wrote on the cover, the wages of sin is death. And now all these years later, in Gladiator 2, I play another bad guy in another great movie. Even in the darkest stories, I'm looking for the light. Woo! That's a word right there. I love him. He says, Act 4. Good God, he's got to be coming out with a memoir. And the guy, whoever did the as told to for this piece, needs to be the one to write it. This is writing. Oh, this is so good. I'm reading little bits and pieces, just excerpts. There's so much I'm skipping over that's so good. He talks about losing the Oscar to Kevin Spacey for American Beauty. He had done Hurricane, and American Beauty won instead. He says, I'm sure I went home and drank that night. I had to. I don't want to sound like, oh, he won my Oscar. It wasn't like that. He says, I went through a time when Pauletta would watch all the Oscar movies. I told her, I don't care about that. They don't care about me. I don't care. You vote. You watch them. I ain't watching that. He says, I gave up. I got bitter. My pity party. So I'll tell you, for about 15 years, from 1999 to 2014, when I put the beverage down, I was bitter. I don't even know offhand what movies I made then. I guess John Q, Mercurian Candidate, but I didn't know I was bitter. He says, wine is very tricky. It's very slow. It ain't like boom, all of a sudden. When did he record Flight? When he was playing the drunk pilot? I went to the movies to watch that. And I told you, I said earlier, like they're heavy drinkers in my family. I watched that at the movies and it was so dead on accurate and it made me so uncomfortable that I wouldn't watch it again. I saw it in theater with somebody else in my family and she was like, "What the fuck?" Because there was a family member that acted like that. Okay, remember I was saying earlier, I just can't wrap my mind around Denzel doing heroin. And like he doesn't specifically say heroin, even though I know shooting dope is heroin. Okay, so all the places quoting the shooting dope thing are quoting it from this Esquire article where he flatly talks about his drug use. And he says, quote, "I never got strung out on heroin, never got strung out on coke, never got strung out on hard drugs. I shot dope just like they shot dope, but I never got strung out. And I never got strung out on liquor. I had this ideal idea of wine tastings and all that, which is what it was at first. And that's a very subtle thing. I mean, I drank the best." And we go into some of the stuff I've quoted before. That's all he says about heroin, cocaine. And I'm like, circle back. Like, we need more details. You just told us you did heroin. I need at least a paragraph explaining that. He says, "I wasn't drinking when we filmed Flight, but I'm sure I did as soon as it finished." He says, "That was getting toward the end of the drinking, but I knew a lot about waking up and looking around, not knowing what happened." Uh, I've had this theory. Actually, let me finish talking about this part with Flight, and then I'll tell you. He says, "During Flight, I was thinking about those who had been through addiction, and I wanted good to come out of that. It wasn't like it was therapeutic. Actually, maybe it was therapeutic. It had to have been." I've had this theory for years now, ever since John David Washington started acting, that he has a strained, let's just put it at that, a strained relationship with his father. Obviously, because between Pauletta and Denzel, even though they're both actors, Denzel is the more prominent one. So when John David Washington gets into acting, everyone starts asking him, obviously, about his dad. And he always made a point, especially in his early interviews, to mention his mother. So they'd be like, "Oh, you're Denzel Washington's son." And he'd be like, "And Pauletta's, and Pauletta's." He speaks very, very highly of his mother. And he's also very territorial about her. And I was like, I wonder what that's about. And I just put a pin in it. I never really thought much about it. But even during the press run of the piano lesson, someone asked, I don't remember who the interviewer was. Malcolm Washington, one of Denzel's other sons, was the director of the film, and he dedicated the film to his mother. Then the interviewer asked Denzel, "Did you feel any kind of way when you saw that your son had dedicated the film to his mom?" And Denzel cracks a joke. He says, "I was looking for my name." He was like, "I was waiting for and dad." And he was like, "But it never happened." And he makes light of it. But then he goes on to say, and he was like, "Malcolm," and he's like, he won't get mad at me in saying this, but he is a mama's boy. Hmm. There's another interview that's circulating with the piano lesson. Like I said, Malcolm is the director, and then John David Washington is also in the film, and then Denzel is an executive producer on the film. And people keep zooming in on John David's face when his father is talking, and people are like, "Yo, he don't fuck with his dad." We think that uncle shit is cute, but you got to live with it or deal with it day in and day out. Like it can be a lot. I didn't really think that much of it. I added it to my like light conspiracy theories of like, there's something going on with John David and Denzel. But now that he's telling these stories about, at the very least, being drunk all the time, I'm like, oh yeah, that would explain everything. When you're home, you're drinking and drugging and whatever else, and then you clean yourself up to go back to work, and then you come back to your family and you give them your worst again. Okay, we get to the part he's talking about, "I've done a lot of damage to the body." He says, "I've been clean 10 years this December." He says, "I haven't had a thimble's worth since." This part is Act 5. He talks about seeing the face of God. He says, "Life's simple pleasures are the best. Fresh air, some water, sounds, being up another morning, just being. There's no guarantees. That's why we call it faith. Religion is a tricky word because that gets into my religion, your religion, and all of that. But faith doesn't sound like it belongs to someone. Anyone can have it." He's talking about August Wilson and what he calls the privilege of bringing his plays to the big screen. Okay, this is the final part. He talks about He's doing another equalizer, actually two more equalizers. They're doing 4 and 5. He's doing Othello. And he doesn't talk about Black Panther here. He talks about raising his children. He says, I was there as best as I could be for my children. He says, when Pauletta was pregnant with Katia around 1987, I was filming for Queen and Country in London. I scheduled 5 days off before the due date and 5 days after, and I flew home for that. That was my version of commuting. He says, we were always coming back together, but then that's it. Daddy's got to go do his thing, go to Indianapolis for 4 months or whatever, and you've got to go to school. You get the grades, I go do what I got to do. That's how it goes around here. Yeah, that part would piss a kid off too. He says Pauletta laid the foundation for the kids while I was out killing the whatever it is, killing the animal, bringing home the meat, the bacon. But he says all 4 of the children are healthy and in their right mind. Enough said. Pauletta did a brilliant job with them. She taught them the right way. I came along for the ride. I taught by example, good and bad. He continues, I love what I do, and I'm fortunate that I have this ability to act. And I don't want to make light of it, but it's just acting, man. It ain't rocket science. I don't mark the big moments of my life by the movies I made. Keep in mind he's saying this because he said this in one of the interviews, I think the one with Vogue. He actually used to mark his life by the movies and the accolades. He's saying this at 70, not like 35, 45. He says, when I think about what I'm proudest of, anything I've accomplished doesn't even come to mind. It's our children. They're good people. They know right from wrong. What else can you ask for? You know? That was a great read. Ah, I love this era of Denzel. This has to be at least 5,000 words. I need somebody to pick up this copy of Esquire for me to save when I get to America because I want this. This is a collector's edition for me. With the seasons changing, I'm already dreaming of a warm weather getaway. I love using points for travel, and I'm always looking for ways to earn more to book my next flight. Here's a life hack for you. Built lets you earn points on rent payments and redeem them towards flights, hotels, and a lot more. One of your biggest investments should get you more than a roof over your head. Let me explain. There's no cost to join Built, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world that you can redeem your Built points toward. Points can also be redeemed toward a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? I love how easy Built makes it to do something necessary to enjoy something extraordinary. Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/ratchet. That's joinbilt.com/ratchet. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/ratchet to start earning points on your rent payments today. Have you seen this challenge online? It's called the Breaking My Heart Challenge. And people are posting pictures of their parents from back in the day. And they're like, oh, my mom used to break hearts back in the day. So I wanted to make one of those. So I'm digging through this box of pictures and I'm like, is this really like the best way to organize the family photos in giant boxes in the basement? I found a solution from our friends at Legacy Box. You're going to love Legacy Box. Every day, your home movies and photos are slowly fading away. They fade away in closets or worse, break down because of the dampness of your garage or heat in your attic or wherever you're storing your photos. Well, right now, you can easily access those memories and protect them forever for 50% off with code RATCHET. Legacy Box is easy. Load Legacy Box with your old tapes, film, and pictures and send it back. You'll get it back on a thumb drive or cloud, ready to watch and easy to share. It's so simple. It's like magic. Our family photos, I'm talking about my baby pictures, all my parents' stuff, and my grandparents' stuff. They were all stored in boxes in the basement. The idea of something happening to all that history, oh my God. I'm so glad I found Legacy Box to keep my family's history safe. For a limited time only, you can visit legacybox.com/ratchet and save 50%. That's legacybox.com/ratchet to shop 50% off. This sale won't last long. Legacybox.com/ratchet. Are we going to be able to get to everything today? I totally did not expect to just get caught up in this 5,000 word story. Denzel was only the second thing I had on my list of us to talk about. We're going to skip Lamar Odom and the sex doll. Tyrese is a bitch. I usually use better language when I talk about him. His latest rant online has just pissed me off. He owes 75,000 American USD dollars in dineros to the mothers of one of his children, an ex-wife. Tyrese makes, and this is according to court documents, 275,000 American USD dollars and dineros per month. His ex is asking for $10,000 a month in child support, which is far, 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 far below what Tyrese would have been hit for if she had let a court decide the amount. I remember in New York, child support for just one kid is 17% of the father's income. Really, this woman, if she really wanted to, could be getting around $40,000 a month. She quote unquote only wants $10,000 a month. Pay the lady the money. Which what she's asking for an entire year in child support isn't even half of what he makes monthly. This is why I called him a bitch, because Tyrese made this video and put it online. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do for you. I'm not the judge in the case. When they lock your ass up for contempt, I can't do nothing for you. And I'm definitely not putting 5 on no fees. He is refusing to pay this woman the court mandated money that he owes her, and made a video and put it up on the internet on some like, I worked hard for mine. I've worked all these years for mine and I'm not giving it away. Blah, blah, blah. She's not taking your money. She's raising y'all's kids, sir. And I've seen plenty of people say it don't take no $10,000 a month to raise no child. It doesn't. But he knew when he married the lady and was fucking her raw, there was a possibility of a child being made. It's not her fault that he didn't pay attention to what the current child support laws were. What do you want, sir? You rather go to jail than actually pay for your baby. You don't have no ground to stand on with me. I'm appalled at the audacity of this shit. He is willing to lose other income that is currently coming in on the GP of it all just to stick it to his ex, just to not pay for his child. Just dumb nigga shit. You can take a nigga out the hood. I don't even know if this is hood shit. I know plenty of hood dudes that take care of their kids. This is just derelict nigga shit. I am disgusted by this man at this point. I've heard people say, I kill for mine. Every time I've heard it, the person was talking about another human. They would talk about their wife. They would talk about their mama. They would talk about their kids, their family. This nigga sitting up here talking about, I kill for mine. I fight, shoot, kill for mine over some fucking money. Money that you have. It's not like he ain't got none. 275,000 American USD dollars in dineros, according to court documents, which Tyrese is not even disputing that he makes a shit ton of money. I kill for mine. What about your babies, nigga? You kill for your monies, but you won't kill for your babies. You're a bitch. What's the next big story? Matt Gaetz. Last time we spoke, he had resigned from the current Congress. There's a new Congress that starts in January. Important detail. Matt Gaetz had resigned from Congress. Donald Trump had nominated Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. As a result, Matt Gaetz stepped down from his position in Congress. The timing was very good for him and probably well planned by the next administration. They looked out for him. Matt Gaetz has been under an investigation by the House Ethics Committee for a very long time. It seems they had concluded their investigation. I want to say it was Wednesday when Matt Gaetz stepped down. They were going to release the results of their investigation. He has been accused of paying for sex and also, more important to me, having sex with a minor. He was in his mid-30s at the time. 2 of the women that Matt Gaetz is alleged to have sex with have the same lawyer. when the release of the ethics report was in jeopardy, the lawyer for the women started doing interviews. He told the press, yes, one of his clients, the one who was 17 at the time, spoke to the House Ethics Committee, and she told them she had sex with Matt Gaetz not once, but twice. And the second time, it was a threesome with another adult woman. CNN gets a hold of this story and calls over to Matt Gaetz and was like, hey, we want to get comment before this story comes out that you did in fact have sex with a 17-year-old on two separate occasions, not one as previously thought. I mean, it's all bad, but there's also a story about Matt Gaetz was having sex with a girl and then realized during the act that she was 17 and then stopped having sex. I think that's his sort of, I didn't know. And when I knew, I stopped. But now that the stories come out that you had sex with her twice and there was a threesome, like there's no saving you at this point. So he withdraws from the AG nomination. He also said that when he pulled out that he won't be returning to Congress for the new House that starts in January. It ain't a big win, but a win is a win that Matt Gaetz is kind of sort of out of the way. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to talk about in crazy political news is this trans bathroom controversy. There was a trans woman from Delaware. Is her name Rhonda? Is it Rita? Neither. Her name is Sarah. Sarah McBride. She was just elected this most recent round of elections to Congress, House of Representatives. She, to our knowledge, because we haven't been going around inspecting people's genitals, is the only trans woman, trans person, again, that we know of, who has served in Congress. Nancy Mace. Do you remember this name? The minister. Nancy Mace flirt. The black man. Michael Eric Dyson. Lord. Remember we talked about Michael Eric Dyson slid in this lady's DMs and then she read the DMs into the congressional record and was like, he was trying to flirt with me? Her, same chick. She's back again. So she is upset. A trans woman is coming to Congress. And again, trans woman, that she will use women's bathrooms. She has gone on this tirade in the press, online, to keep her out of the bathrooms. She don't really give two shit about these bathrooms, just to be clear. I told you I interned on the Hill when I was in high school, right? I worked in the Rayburn building for Congressman Ed Towns. Love him. Every congressperson has their own office. All of the offices have private bathrooms. Start there. Also, there are 3 buildings for members of the House of Representatives. Rayburn, where I worked, Cannon, Longworth, Long something. Let's go with Longworth. That sounds right. I don't even know if Sarah McBride and Nancy Mace would be in the same building, much less the same building on the same floor and in the same section of the building where there's a reason that they would end up in the bathrooms together. Why either one of them would opt not to use the personal private toilet and shower that's in their bathroom and go to the public restrooms instead where they may encounter each other. There is no scenario in which Sarah McBride would go over to Nancy Mace's office and go into her private bathroom. In the Capitol, there is the potential that they could end up in the same restroom. And at the same time, realistically, Nancy Mace does not think that Sarah McBride is going to, one, be in the bathroom at the exact same time as her, and McBride is going to attempt to assault her or attack her or intimidate her in any way. She's just being a bigoted dick. All of this is quote and unquote virtue signaling, because there's nothing virtuous about it. That's why I said quote and unquote, but virtue signaling to her audience of bigots to let them know, I am one of you. You're a bigot, I am too. That's it. She has no genuine fear of this woman doing anything to her. Saying crazy shit about trans people, they're an easy mark. As I pointed out in a previous episode, trans folks make up like literally 1% of the American population. All this fuss over 1% of the population. And to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't lived in the country in a while, there's not been some, I don't know, prevalence of trans people attacking women and children in the bathrooms. I've never heard one story. I'm sure if we search real hard, we can find 1 or 10 in the last 10 years. Literally, very literally, an American school gets shot up every single day that American schools were open. The only time in the last, say, 10 years there's been a break prevalence of school shootings in America is during COVID when the schools were closed. Y'all more concerned about this one trans woman pissing in the bathroom stall next to you, because it's not like women are in the stall and it's urinals and we just whooping out our cats in the open. We're in stalls. And if this woman didn't tell you she was trans, you really wouldn't know. You wouldn't clock her just to see her walking down the street. More concerned about one trans woman peeing in the stall next to you than children getting shot up at school. Over and over and over and over and over. Fuck them kids. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think she's an awful fucking human, like just deplorable. She's good friends with Matt Gaetz. So before Matt Gaetz stepped down, there was going to be a vote in the House, there may still be one, about releasing this report by the Ethics Committee. And Marjorie Taylor Greene had a meltdown online, and she said that Republicans had better not vote for releasing this investigation. She said there are so many Republicans that have been involved in inappropriate sex, sexual assault, have had sexual assault claims filed against them. She said she, in fact, had filed a claim that had never come to public. She said if Republicans want to vote to put Matt Gaetz' business in the street, she was going to tell it all. What did she say? Because it was a great quote. I was like, this lady loony as fuck. I'm reading this from MSNBC. She said, if we're going to dance, let's all dance in the sunlight.
Welcome to Monet Talks with me, your girl Monet Exchange, a weekly podcast where the only thing hotter than the tea is our topics, darling. Every single Thursday, we'll be bringing you candid interviews, fun segments, and games featuring a dazzling array of guests, including fellow queens, other celebrities, pop culture icons, friends, and maybe even an ex-boyfriend or 4.
You want to hear something horrible?
Tell me.
I was outed.
Outed?
Yeah.
Say their name.
I think I found sobriety through my fans.
That's beautiful, bitch.
I love those little whores.
I'm normally not this nasty.
I bring it out of everyone. That's the tea. To watch the podcast in studio, see exclusive content, and get a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes, head over to youtube.com/@MonetExchangeOfficial and tell all your friends you can listen to Monet Talks completely free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Period.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has acknowledged that there are a bunch of Republicans that have committed sex crimes, or at least harassment. She says that she's been victim, I think, of harassment. So it's not just hearsay. So if other people who've committed sex crimes that you're aware of don't fall in line with the person who's allegedly committed sex crimes that you are trying to protect, then and only then will you tell about all the sex crimes that have happened, including the one that happened to you. As a woman, that's your logic. It's not just to be like, hey, people committing crimes against women in this bitch. Somebody need to come help us. It's crazy over here. Hide your wives, hide your girlfriends, hide your daughters, your underage ones. That's not what you're doing. It's, I know about all these sex crimes. Everybody's out here committing them, but I'm only going to say something if you tell on my friend. What fucking Gilead logic is this? Here's specifically why I'm telling you this part. According to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is the sister in MAGA with Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene is over here telling the whole world it's a bunch of members of Congress who are committing sex crimes. Isn't that who you should be afraid of? Instead of this one transgender lady who ain't bothered nobody? You're afraid of going to the bathroom with her, but you're not afraid of working around all these men committing all these sex crimes. Neither one of y'all seem to feel any kind of way about Trump, who's been found liable for raping a woman in a dressing room. Y'all ain't afraid of him. Trump is on record talking about grabbing women by the pussy. That's facts. That's not who you're afraid of. Not the leader of your party, Not all the men that Marjorie Taylor Greene is shouting from the rooftops that she knows for a fact have committed sex crimes. You're not afraid of none of them. You're afraid of this one random lady who statistically you will probably never actually end up in a bathroom with. These niggas is crazy. I saw this great interview last night from AOC. She was like, this whole thing is disgusting. And she was like, yes, obviously for the transphobia and the discrimination against trans people, full stop. Yes, terrible. In addition to, she's like, Nancy Mace has introduced this bill to Congress in order to block trans women from using the women's bathroom. And she was like, exactly how are we supposed to know who's trans and who's not? So like in the case of Sarah McBride, you don't clock her walking down the street. So when a woman shows up to use the bathroom, how are you supposed to know that she's trans or not? Like, are we checking under skirts? And in the case of people who've had surgery, like, doesn't it all look the same? How do we know who's who? Are people going to start having to carry like pass cards like they did during apartheid or the Jews in Nazi Germany identifying themselves as cisgender women? Like, how far are we going with this shit? If we're getting to the point where we're going to start identifying women as cisgender, like, are we running medical tests on all the women? I want Marjorie Taylor Greene to be tested first. If there's anybody who I'm like, I don't really know. This is not particularly shit I care about. You a trans woman, you gotta pee and just go into the bathroom and pee. This is a non-factor for me. I give two shits. But they want to make a big deal about it. Test that bitch first. There are reports that Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she would fight Sarah McBride if McBride tried to use the women's facilities in the Capitol. It says two unnamed people who were in the room at the time told Politico about Greene's threat. And then when she was asked about the quote, she didn't confirm or deny. She just said, quote, that she shouldn't have to beat anyone up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a feminine looking woman. Not in the face, not in the body. She works out, which is fine, but she's got, these big old muscles. And her face doesn't have the features that as a culture we typically identify as feminine. Now, this is a fight that she should stay away from. If there's going to be a transgender witch hunt, she's one of the witches. The war that she's trying to fight is about to be fought on her. Does she not see this? Does she not see her? Ma'am, do you have a mirror? We could see you. You don't look real femme. Because if I'm walking through the halls of Congress and I'm like, oh, okay, there's a trans person among us. If I see you and Sarah McBride walking down the hall, she not the one I'm going to be like, oh, that's the trans lady. I'm looking at you, lady. They want to make this big crazy deal about it as if there's not other shit going on in the world. Have the price of eggs come down yet? Last but not least, before we wrap this up, I think I took a screenshot of it. The KKK, I told you they were going to reemerge in 2025. We didn't have to get to the end of the year. I also think they're still going to show up at inauguration in full hoods. This is in Kentucky. There's a flyer circulating online. The KKK is distributing flyers with their phone number attached. There's a picture of Uncle Sam. It's a big figure of Uncle Sam. And he's got his foot up where he's literally kicking at some people, a man holding a bag over his shoulder, a woman. She could be carrying a small child or a bag. I'm not sure. It might be a small child, but Muslim woman, her head is covered. A little boy who maybe looks like 10 or 11. This is a drawing. And then a very small figure. So a small child, maybe like 2. He's holding his little sibling's hand and they're walking away with their bags. They look dejected. The father is looking straight ahead. The kid is looking up, optimistic. The kid has no idea what's going on. But Uncle Sam is kicking them out. The flyer says, leave now, avoid deportation. So you know who sent the flyer. It says the Trinity White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. For more information and an application, please send a return address, stamped envelope. It gives a P.O. box, Maysville, Kentucky, and also a hotline, a Klan line, where you can call for more information. And then it wraps up. It says, come join us at the Fiery Cross. This is where we are as a country. I also saw, was it Ohio? It was a small protest, but a protest nonetheless, of Nazis dressed all in black and red. and they were carrying a black and red Nazi flag. It's about maybe like 10, 15 of them or so. But they were walking through the streets with these gigantic Nazi flags. I'm not familiar with that portion of the city. I read that it's like, I don't know, kind of like a Soho in New York. It's where, the cute restaurants are. A liberal enclave is what I read. The Nazis and the Klan are back in full force. This is America. That's the episode. I know we were supposed to talk about Shine this week. I love Shine. I really do. His documentary was really, really great. We're going to have to hold it until next week because we need to talk about Denzel and the crazy shit that's going on in politics. Crazy political news, which actually can affect our lives, trumps our entertainment. In my head. I hope in yours too. All right. So we'll be back on Tuesday. All right. Have a great weekend. Talk soon. Bye.